And good afternoon. Welcome to Stockton, California for the 2019 NCAA Men's Water Polo Championship. The season comes to a finish today as the Stanford Cardinal take on the University of the Pacific Tigers. The Tigers, the home team here in Stockton, California, looking for their first ever NCAA championship. They're in the final for just the second time in school history. For the Cardinal, looking for redemption. A year ago, they were in the national championship, got down big early and couldn't come all the way back, falling to USC. And so we are assured of a new champion here in 2019 with the men of Troy eliminated yesterday. And that sets the table for Stanford and Pacific. Hi, everyone. Welcome poolside here, the Chris Keltson Pool. Greg Meskel joining you for NCAA.com as we prepare for Stanford and Pacific. The Cardinal come in with a record of 20-2. Pacific at 17-5 on the year. Let's look at how we got here as we've got semifinal action. This was an instant classic, our first semifinal, Stanford and USC. The Cardinal build a large lead. They're ahead by 3 with about 2:05 to play, thanks in large part to 5 goals from Quinn Woodhead. Then USC comes back, and it leads to what you just saw there. Ben Halleck with the game winner in golden goal overtime, getting inside and putting it away. Then our second semifinal, not as many fireworks, but a big-time result for the home team Tigers as Pacific. They rally back after Pepperdine gets off to a hot start and pick up the win, and the Tigers move on to their second ever appearance in the NCAA championship. They expected a massive crowd on hand here. This has been long sold out, and they've gotten it. And as you might imagine, a heavy Pacific flavor to the stands here in Stockton. Pacific takes the pool in the Whitecaps, Stanford in the dark. Our officials for this one, 2 international and domestic veterans, Alex Stankiewicz, Steve Rotsart. And we are about set to get things started. The lineups, we look first at the Pacific Tigers, the home team for James Graham in his 12th season. They were an at-large selection out of the Golden Coast Conference, sputtered towards the end of the regular year into the postseason, losing both matches in the Golden Coast Conference, but did enough throughout the year, according to the selection committee, to get the nod here, and they've advanced to the final. Joey McLean goes in goal, more on him in a moment, joined by Bogdan Jurkovic, Luke Pavillard, Luis Araya, Andrea Donardi, Jeremy Cote, and Jale Stanic in the field for Stanford. And head coach John Vargas, in his 17th season, won an NCAA title way back in 2002, his first year. He's been searching for the title ever since. They've had some close calls. They're back in the final yet again. He'll put forward Andrew Chun, the senior, in goal, Tyler Abramson, A.J. Rossman, Ben Halleck, the game winner from last night, Bennett Williams, and then the brothers Dylan and Quinn Woodhead, who both played big yesterday. We mentioned McLean for Pacific. This is just the third game he has played all season long. Injured for much of the year. Jonathan Barry did the bulk of the work. He played just part of a game against UCLA earlier this year, but James Graham feeling that he'd give them the best chance to win. He was back healthy with the postseason arriving, and here he is, the redshirt freshman from Newcastle, California, getting the start. And we have a cap change right out of the gate. Jale Stanic normally wears number 11. He'll be 9. Rare someone loses their cap before we begin the game, but that is what has transpired here. So if you're scoring at home, Stanic from 11 to 9. And now, as the fans still filing in, hard to find an empty spot on the pool deck here. They've got overflow seating behind the scoreboard as well at the Chris Keltson Pool. And the national championship is underway in the Central Valley of California. Opening sprint fought for and controlled by the Stanford Cardinal. This is the third meeting of the year between these two. Stanford taking the first two, 15-14 back on September 28th, and 11-8 right here in Stockton back on October 6th. Quinn Woodhead trying to pick up where he left off, and McLean ready for it, knocks that one down. Quinn Woodhead, 5 huge goals yesterday in the win over USC for the sophomore. And now the Tigers, their first opportunity on offense. We had torrential rains yesterday, now bright sun and a few clouds this afternoon. Here's Stanic. Works to Cote. Here's Araya. Araya double teamed. Timer at a time, and they'll well off the mark as Stonic lets it fly with the shot clock sounding. Opening minutes scoreless here, Stanford and Pacific. Bennett Williams now on the move. He'll give near side. Here's Quinn Woodhead, and now the lefty, Tyler Abramson. Halleck slides in at 2 meters to get to work. Heavy pressure there. Teams devote a lot of energy to slowing down the Olympian. Abramson now, timer to 5. Takes a look, cross cage, controlled by McLean. 2 early saves. And McLean coming up big early on. Had 11 saves in the semifinal against Pepperdine, as Pacific no good there on the attempt. Impressive for a guy that had played just part of one game to now have your next start be in the NCAA championship semifinal round. Williams now. Here's Dylan Woodhead. Williams takes a look, works for Abramson. Halleck fronted inside, now spins free. Meanwhile, Williams sails it high. Opening minutes, NCAA championship. We'll have a new champion for the first time since 2002 outside of UCLA, Cal, and USC. Those 3 have accounted for every title from 2003 until last year. Assured of someone different. We've got a power play here. 6-on-5 opportunity for the Pacific Tigers as Abramson goes off on the exclusion. Out high and deflected away. Andrew Chun. Rebound corralled by Araya. Still on the advantage. Out high now. A big fake. Chun there again. Knocking it down, and 2 opportunities there for Pacific on the 6-on-5, and the Cardinal defense holds. Now the outlet. Here's A.J. Rossman out in front. Defense settling in. Rossman takes it and hits it and flexes on him. 1-0 Stanford. Pacific had 2 cracks at the 6-on-5, unable to convert. And then Rossman goes right up over the top of McLean. The sun could be a factor here. It is shining directly into our area on the near side of your screen, but it could be getting some of the Pacific keeper as well. We'll see if they decide to change at quarters. That is a thing that both teams could agree to if they feel as if the sun is too much of a factor. Stanford goes up early, 1-0, thanks to Rossman, the sophomore, in the opening minutes here. Here's Luis Araya, one of many Stockton locals on this Pacific roster. Working inside, Denardi tries to break free. Help comes over in the form of Ben Halleck. Comes up with the steal, and now Chun takes a look. Moving to Woodhead. Quinn Woodhead out high. Rossman goes Dylan Woodhead right inside. Halleck backhand controlled by the Tigers. That was trouble for Pacific on defense as Halleck made the catch clean. But the Pacific defense was ready for it as we fall under 4.5 left here in the first quarter. Denardi. Controlling out high. It's Cote now. And Ordinary. His shot if he wants it. And he'll get a little extra in exclusion. Able to draw the Cardinal in a little bit closer after the Ordinary. Need to give him room to operate. Williams got tangled up. Second power play coming for Pacific. The exclusion on Bennett Williams. In close. We're tied at 1. Andrea Denardi, the senior from France, is on the board. They found him at about 2.5 meters. Quick catch and release. And a 1-1 game halfway through this first quarter. Tigers will get into their bench a bit. Fans still filing in. This was sold out, then some student tickets were made available as Pacific did advance. By halftime, you'd expect every available spot to be packed here at the Chris Kelton pool. Rossman now, shot clock to 10. That's Williams. Abramson had an opening. Good defense from Araya, threatening with the field block. Shot clock to 2. They got to go. Rossman has another. A.J. Rossman, he played well in the regular season against Pacific. 5 goals and 2 wins, and he paints the high corner. His second, and Stanford in front 2-1. Rossman part of the silver medal effort for Team USA at the World University Games this past summer. Best finish for Team USA at that event since the early 90s. Had some Stanford help in that effort, like Tyler Abramson. Here's Pacific now. Out high, a few fakes, deflected and up over the cage. They'll say that at the last minute, Chun did get a piece of that on the Cote try. So a new shot clock for the Tigers. Araya, Pavillard now. Big day yesterday. That pass, a dangerous one, tipped by Quinn Woodhead, but the Tigers control. Timer to 6. Here's Araya to 4, to 3. Nowhere to go. Throws it away. Dylan Woodhead with the steal. And then in transition, an exclusion. And we'll have the first power play of the afternoon for the Cardinal. The exclusion will go on Denardi. Quinn Woodhead cruising in. And he'll work inside 2 meters and set up this Cardinal offense. Rossman. Here's Bennett Williams. Brings it back. Quinn Woodhead. Halleck. Field block. Araya punches that one out. Sides coming even. Power plays over, but Bennett Williams has an answer. Right as sides are coming even. First goal of the match for the senior from Laguna Niguel, California. And the Cardinal pull in front 3-1 here in the first quarter. And you can be certain Stanford's goal, well, one of them, get a lead early, take this crowd out of this match, or at least try and negate them a bit. That's a big advantage for Pacific. Also for Stanford, has to feel good to get off to a good start in a national championship match after last year, when they got down big early against USC. Pacific's going to call for timeout here after they draw the exclusion. That's on Ben Halleck. That's his first foul. And Pacific will get their third chance on the 6-on-5. We mentioned that Stanford final a year ago. They fell down to USC 7-1 at halftime, got down 11-3 in the third as they reached their first NCAA final since 2008. They rallied back, made it a match, ended up losing 14-12 to USC. And while it was not the effort that they wanted, John Vargas talked about that game earlier in the year and just the importance of having a fairly young team get into that match, and nothing they could do would replicate that experience except being in a game like that. And they just got in too big of a hole early, couldn't dig themselves all the way out. But that experience led to their strong run here in 2019, a 20-2 record. They went 2-1 in conference. Just 2 losses to UC Santa Barbara and then lost to USC during the regular year. Timeout has come to a conclusion. And Pacific will have the 6-on-5 try here. Trailing 3-1, and it's taken away. A steal. So out of the timeout, no 6-on-5. It's Tyler Abramson moving in. Cruises in, penalty. What a turn of events from a timeout and a 6-on-5 to a takeaway and a penalty. about as bad a sequence as Pacific could have asked for. And that's all Abramson making it happen. Now Williams to finish it off. He does. Bennett Williams with two quick ones here in the first. Second look at Williams. Upper corner. And quickly, the Cardinal have built a 4-1 lead. What a swing. Pacific on the power play, looking to threaten. Instead, a takeaway, a penalty, and a goal. Stanic. Another exclusion opportunity. Pacific 1 for 3 on the advantage thus far. They'll go up on the 6-on-5 here again. Around the way, Araya. Good look in close, slam it home inside. That's another for Donardi, his second. And that was the second exclusion on Bennett Williams. So he has 2 early fouls. Donardi has his second, his 25th on the year. And cuts it in half at 4-2 with under 90 seconds left in this first quarter. A.J. Rossman, he has 2 goals in this first quarter, has helped the Cardinal get out to the big lead that Pacific is now trying to battle back from. Here's Williams. Halleck surrounded in close. Abramson works along 2 meters. Now they go to Halleck. Trouble, the little hook shot somehow deflects and goes in. Didn't look to have a clean gather in traffic, but just powers that one in for his first and his 71st on the year. And we've seen it all season long. If a pass gets into Ben Halleck and he is able to control that ball, usually something good is happening for Stanford. A natural goal, a penalty, an exclusion. That's why you see teams devote so much energy to surrounding him with 1, 2, 3 defenders, having help defense, ready to crash back on any entries. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Under a minute left here in the first. Good start for the Cardinal. Pavillard. Rocket. Pavillard, 5 big goals in the semifinal win over Pepperdine. And he gets on the board here for the first time. One of the best in the college game, the former Catino Award finalist, a redshirt senior from Australia. And he makes it 5-3. Pacific can score the ball. They are not afraid of a high-scoring affair. And Stanford has offensive power as well. This could be one of those games into the teens. Here's Abramson, knocked down, shot clock to 5. Rossman, a hat trick for A.J. Rossman in the first quarter of the NCAA championship final. What a start. Rossman, he has been locating his shots well. We saw him go high corner to his right, now brings it back low and left, keeping him guessing. Rossman has that great distinction of winning high school championships in 2 different states. You don't see that very often. One in Washington with Bellevue, one in California with Santa Margarita. And that's all for the first quarter. Stanford takes it away, and they open up a 6-3 lead here in the first quarter over the home team Tigers. A hot start for the top-seeded Cardinal. We step aside and return to Stockton after these messages. And welcome back to Stockton, California. University of the Pacific is seen here for the 2019 NCAA Men's Water Polo Championship. And the Stanford Cardinal, powered by sophomore A.J. Rossman, 3 goals. And they lead Pacific 6-3 in the third meeting of the year between these two programs. They have a history. This is easily the most important meeting between these two since the 2013 NCAA semifinal at Stanford. That was a win for Pacific. They were able to defeat Stanford 11-10. Olympian Alex Obert cashing in late for the Tigers to push them into the final. That was their then first NCAA championship appearance. This is their second. USC would go on to win the 2013 final. That was the end of their 6 straight titles as they put together one of the more impressive runs in college sports there. But so you have that in the rear view, in the memory banks of water polo fans. Of course, a much different Pacific team, a different Stanford team. And the results in favor of the Cardinal early on, 6-3 after 1. We're about set to begin here in the second quarter. Capacity crowd on hand. Here in Stockton, California, Central Valley, east of San Jose, Stanford area, south of Sacramento. Big passion for water polo here. And trying to will their team back. From the outside, Jale Stanic, a little too much bounce. And it's back to Chun. We asked the question earlier, would the teams switch at the quarter? They did. Of course, as Stanford now has to go down to what would be the sunny end, the sun has tucked behind a couple of clouds, so advantage Chun right now and the Cardinal. Here's Rossman. Dylan Woodhead. Rossman has 3, perhaps 4. Works to Woodhead. Takes a look, bar down. And a look like he'll take it. Dylan Woodhead buries it off the frame of the cage. And Stanford pulls in front 7-3. Well, it was younger brother Quinn showing out yesterday in the semifinal match. And now older brother Dylan, the senior, adds his 32nd goal on the year. Not even a minute gone by here in the second quarter. And now an offensive. So Tigers getting a little too aggressive. Ege Cholak in at 2 meters. The ball turns over. Quinn Woodhead. Here's Abramson. Tosses it back to Woodhead, far side. Cardinal threatening to blow this one open here in the second. Rossman has all day. Shot clock to 5. To 3. And that is field blocked and out of play. And the ball back to the Tigers and Joey McLean. We mentioned McLean, just his 3rd game in this 2019 season. Played well in the win over Pepperdine. Araya. Pavillard. They go into Cholak. Defense waiting. Halleck surging over for the takeaway. 2 minutes deep now, second quarter. Dylan Woodhead. You can hear John Vargas nearby directing traffic as Stanford gets into the offensive end. Offensive on the Cardinal. Looking in at Halleck at 2 meters. The contra foul on the Rio Olympian. And the ball now to the Tigers. Pacific looking for a spark here, trailing 7-3. This massive home crowd looking for something to cheer about. Araya. Araya takes a look and gives it right to Abramson. Looked like he was hoping to draw the ordinary. Never happened. And then gave that ball away. A turnover, and then things going from bad to worse. An exclusion on the way down on Cholak. And now a timeout called by Stanford. And they are going to have a 6-on-5 opportunity here. It'll be their second power play as Ege Çolak, the senior from Turkey, is excluded. A little frustration foul there on the way down. We mentioned earlier that Stanford back in the title game after last year. Pacific back here for the first time since 2013. History at stake for both of these programs. First of all, for Stanford, as a athletic department, they have a chance to win 2 national titles today. This is happening right now, and then about an hour and a half away in San Jose at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, women's soccer, the Stanford Cardinal, they'll go for a national championship taking on the Tar Heels of North Carolina. How about that? 2 trophies could be hoisted in the span of about 4 hours. Meanwhile, for Pacific, they only have 2 NCAA championships in athletic department history. It was the Pacific women's volleyball team back in 1985 and 86 winning back-to-back titles. Ironically enough, their head coach, Stanford great John Dunning, taking the Tigers to back-to-back titles back in the 80s. Elena Oden, one of the stars on that Tigers team way back when. In close here, McLean with a big stop, killing off the Cardinal power play. About the only thing that hasn't worked for Stanford in this first half has been the advantage. They're 0 for 2. Under 5 to play, second quarter. Jerkovic. Ordinary call to tangle with Pavillard, knotted up with Williams. Meanwhile, Araya is field blocked away as the sun reemerges. 4-goal lead for Stanford. Here's Williams. Williams takes a look, nothing there. Now Quinn Woodhead. Williams a few fake, shot clock to 10. Rossman keeping it on the perimeter. Now they go inside. Backhand off the post, a ricochet, and a close call, but no goal for Stanford on that time around. Cardinal biding their time, waiting for that instant when Halleck can spring free. They found him, and just off the mark. The UOP chant goes out among the Tiger faithful. Under 4 to play. Good look in close, just off the mark. Excellent idea to find Dinardi on the far post. He just couldn't redirect it into the back of the net. And so it stays 7-3. Under 4 left, first half. Quinn Woodhead inside 2 meters now. Out high, here's Williams. Williams picked up there by Jerkovic. Goes Abramson up on his legs. A variety of fakes and hits. Make it 8-3. Tyler Abramson with his first and his 62nd on the year, the junior at Miramani High School in the East Bay of Northern California. And 8-3, the Cardinal cruising right now. And so was the semifinal the biggest challenge for the Cardinal? They were pushed into golden goal overtime. They built a 3-goal lead, up 3 with 2 minutes and change. They watched USC stage some kind of comeback. Luke Wyatt with the buzzer beater to force overtime. Then USC goes in front in OT only to see Ben Halleck score the game winner in the third overtime period. And so they come out of that battle looking sharp here. And it was a bit of the opposite. Pacific, they had a challenging first quarter against Pepperdine, but then once they got in front, there was no doubt. Tigers, of course, have no interest in the idea that the championship was decided yesterday. They have plenty of time to work their way back. And what was interesting yesterday is that, and it was late in the game, but Stanford builds that 3-goal lead. They didn't attack as much, looking to take time off the clock. That opened the door for the USC Trojans. We'll be curious to see here if, as Stanford has built their lead, if they'll continue to push on the offensive end and really try and build a large advantage. out of the timeout called by James Graham, trying to calm things down. His team trailing by 5. No ordinary, just a takeaway. Larson Weigel coming out of nowhere to pick the pocket of Cote, who was looking for a call. Under 3 left, second quarter. Here's Quinn Woodhead. Rossman, now Weigel. Shot clock to 6. And an exclusion. 6-on-5 on the way here for Stanford. Jerkovich excluded. Power play to the Cardinal. They'll work it around the perimeter, look for an opportunity. It's Rossman. Patience here from Stanford. Dylan Woodhead loses the handle and then has that shot field blocked away. And so Pacific able to cancel out that power play try. A little over 2 minutes left, first half. McLean looking to get things started, needs someone to break open here and receive the ball. And so they eat up half of that possession looking for an outlet. Pavillard now. Looking in close. Has Cholak with 6 on the timer. Stanich from distance, and Chun does get a piece of that with 1:45 left in the first half. So a new shot clock now for Pacific. Stanich goes to Araya, and now he'll get it back. Cote. Araya has time. Araya tries the spinning backhand and sails that one high. He does take the helicopter often, but that one well off the mark. With 1:20 to go here in the first half in an opening 2 quarters that have been controlled by the Cardinal. Weigel works out to Rossman. Shot clock to 7. They pour it inside, and they put it home in close. Another for the Stanford Cardinal. And another for Ben Halleck, his second. Reigning Catino Award winner, best in the college game. Back-to-back Conference Player of the Year honors from the MPSF. And they make it 9-3 on his latest delivery. Well, we've seen this one before in an NCAA championship where one team gets a big on the other. Stanford was on the wrong end of this sort of thing last year, and they came back. A turnover here. Stanford controls. John Vargas asking his team to wait, slow it down. They've been deliberate on offense, but highly effective here. Woodhead, they go back inside. The turn is denied this time around. And Pacific able to control. Shot clock is off. 25 seconds left in this first half. A 9-3 lead for the Cardinal here in the national championship. Stanich, here's Pavillard. He goes inside Cholak, and that'll be a power play opportunity with 11 seconds left. Quinn Woodhead sent off. Tigers need this one, and now it's into the corner. 4 seconds left. Stanich behind his head. Araya won't get a shot off. The Cardinal defense kills off the power play. And that brings us into halftime as they don't allow Araya to get that shot off. And what an opening half for the Stanford Cardinal after they were the ones facing a big deficit in the 2018 NCAA championship, leaving no doubt here through 2 quarters. They're in front of Pacific 9-3 at halftime. unanswered to close out the first half. They have built a 9-3 lead over the home team, Pacific Tigers. Let's look back at some of the first half highlights. Tigers were in the mix early on in this one, getting a beautiful look inside for a score from Andrea Dinardi, and then Stanford took control. A.J. Rossman has had himself a big first half as he delivered 3 goals. Bennett Williams there connecting, and they started to spread it around. Dylan Woodhead hitting from the outside. They also got the big man Ben Halleck involved, and of course the lefty Tyler Abramson. It's the full Cardinal arsenal here in the first half that has led to this decisive 9-3 lead, and that's where we're at intermission with the third quarter on the way. And now Pacific trying to figure out a way to get back in this match. We referenced last year, not to bring up a low moment for the Cardinal, but only because of the similarities. Stanford was down 7-1 at halftime last year, 11-3 in the third. It's 9-3 here. They're now in front of Pacific, and so it'll be the Tigers that will try and pull off a Stanford-esque rally from a year ago. And so the change for Pacific in goal. So they go to Jonathan Barry, the redshirt freshman from Fullerton, California. He started the bulk of their games. Joey McLean, we mentioned the redshirt freshman from Newcastle, California. He had been injured the bulk of the year, only played once during the regular season, and then he was healthy. They had him start the semifinal, and he picked up the win there. And James Graham said he would not be afraid to make what he thought was the best decision. And at that time, he thought that would be McLean. But now after the first half, where 9 goals were scored, he makes the change to Barry, the Orange Lutheran product. Barry on the year, after not playing last year, his redshirt year, 158 saves, 210 goals allowed. Had 10 saves against UC Santa Barbara in the Golden Coast Conference, turning his last action until this very moment right here. And the sprint controlled by the Tigers, and they call for timeout. So James Graham will call for time. And they will insert Luis Araya. And so, interestingly enough, officials ruling that Pacific had maintained possession at the end of the first half, so they could maintain the advantage here, at least for a short period of time. Looked as if initially Stanford had taken the ball away. And so Tigers now sides coming even, still on the advantage, looking for a goal. And Stanford back to even strength as Stonich controls. Shot clock to 11. Cholak inside, timer to 6. Cardinal there for the steal. Quinn Woodhead shows up for the takeaway. Woodhead. Here's Parker Killian. Abramson works to Killian. Takes a look right in front, and Barry knocks it down. As we near 1 minute gone by here in the third. So Barry into the game here to start the second half and getting in the mix with the save. Pavillard has been fairly quiet thus far. Capable of big output. Shot clock to 2. They go in with 1. The backhand is wide of the cage. And it's back to Andrew Chun. And now Dylan Woodhead. Woodhead, the senior, has a goal already. Halleck lurking in close. Here's Abramson. Halleck driving Cote back. It's a battle now between the two. Here comes the entry. Halleck, the catch, the hook shot, ricocheting in. Ben Halleck with his third. He'll take the gather here, channeling a little hook shot action. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar perhaps, over the top and in for his third. Not many current players that use the hook shot, so we got to go 80s reference. And it's a 10-3 lead for Stanford. And now the Stanford contingent, the loudest voices you'll hear at the Chris Kelton pool. At advantage to Pacific. It's an exclusion against the Cardinal. That will be on Dylan Woodhead. And the power play here. Tigers need something. A few fakes, cross cage. Chun is ready. That was the Cote try, and Chun able to knock that one back. It'll stay with the Tigers, still on the advantage. Now side's coming even. Dark flag is out. Here comes Woodhead. Araya. Field block, swatted away, Quinn Woodhead. And a little something extra on that one. And now Weigel will try and lead the counter. Quinn Woodhead works to Rossman, and now Dylan Woodhead. Shot clock to 9. Quinn Woodhead, his shot, and the save there. Barry with the left. So Jonathan Barry early on here has done a solid job in his first 3 minutes at the NCAA Championship Tournament. Under 5 to play here, third quarter. Araya gives a look. Now they go inside. Little shovel. Chun reaching back. Close call. Age Cholak inside. And Andrew Chun able to get behind himself and pull that one out of the cage before it crossed all the way through. 4.5 left, third quarter. Stanford 10, Pacific 3. Shot clock to 6. Kick out against Pacific. Donardi in disbelief as he has his second foul. Halleck drawing that opportunity. Quinn Woodhead now. Rossman has been hot. Nothing for Williams. Skip right around the cage and out. Barry got enough of that. And Barry trying to hype up his teammates and this crowd, excited after that stop. Stanford, they continue to struggle on the 6-on-5, and even with that in front 10-3. Impressive stuff here from the Cardinal in the title match. Shot clock to 4. It's Araya. Araya, a few fakes, and he's field blocked away. Luis Araya, he's been bottled up thus far by this Cardinal defense. The senior from Stockton, right here in town, St. Mary's High School. In transition, Age Cholak will be excluded. That will be his second. And Stanford will call for time as they're going to go up on the 6-on-5 once more. And frustration here for the Tigers, looking for more ball movement on the perimeter after that last shot was turned back. The Cardinal in control here. They'll go back up on the 6-on-5. As we said earlier, it's the only area that they have struggled. 0 for 4 right now. This is going to be their 5th opportunity coming up. Stanford has built this big lead, looking to claim their 11th NCAA championship, but first since 2002. You followed college water polo back in the late 70s, 80s, early 90s. That was Cardinal territory. Really Stanford and Cal. throw in UC Irvine there a little bit, but those teams trading the title back and forth. Cardinal winning titles in 76, 78, 80, 81, 85, 86, 93, and 94. Quite a stretch of dominance. They then picked up a couple in the early 2000s thanks to one of the all-time greats, Tony Azevedo. On the redirect here, that's batted away. Barry throws it into the corner, nearly threw it out of bounds. It took a Pacific hop there off the lap lane and stays in. And Stanford, well, they fall to 0-5 on the 6-on-5. And that is one of the things keeping Pacific somewhat alive here, down 7. Bad pass. I'll take your pick. Inside the 2 or a turnover, either one. And the ball back to Stanford, as that pass was intended down on the far post for Donardi, who was inside the 2, but now an offensive. And the ball back to the Tigers, but they're going to have to go get it out of the cage, and Chun Wisely is not going to help them at all. And now they can get things reset. You can hear James Graham right to our right calling for balance on offense. And instead they get a skip shot from the outside from Cote that sails wide of the goal. Approaching 2:30 to go in the third quarter. Luke Pavillard made this a 5-3 game in favor of Stanford. He scored for Pacific with 39 seconds left in the first. Since then, all Cardinal. They've scored 5 unanswered, and perhaps more importantly, they haven't allowed a goal from the Pacific Tigers as Barry makes that save. Tigers on the brink here of going scoreless in consecutive quarters as we fall under 2 minutes left here in the third. Pavillard quickly goes inside, but that pass dies on the water. It ends in an exclusion against Stanford, so that works out for the Tigers. Pacific 2 for 6 right now on the advantage. Woodhead is excluded. That's Dylan Woodhead. Pavillard playing catch with Cote, who wants it in close. A little redirect, and finally Pacific getting one back on strong ball movement. The power play goal is there. And Bogdan Jurkovic, the man who finally puts it away. The third power play connect for Pacific. They were very disciplined there. Good ball movement. You've seen their struggles as of late on offense. A lot of perimeter shots. Those have been getting field blocked by the Stanford defense, saved by Chun, or just going wide of the cage. This time they get the advantage, and they work that ball around. Even the extra pass in at 2 meters. There was one opportunity in close. They thought Jurkovic had a better chance, and he proved it right. Less than 90 seconds to go in the third, 10-4. That stops a run of 5 unanswered by Stanford. Bennett Williams. A.J. Rossman, a little bobble, but he regathers. Shot clock to 5. Lob, and Barry ready for it. Barry now moving ahead. Cote, the Montreal native. Another for Pacific. Back-to-back goals, the latest from the freshman Jeremy Cote. He's on a plane to Kuwait tomorrow with teammate Bogdan Jurkovic. They're both going to represent Team Canada at the FINA Junior World Championships starting this week in Kuwait City, Kuwait. But for now, eyes on a college championship. The deficit is 5. The Pacific fans come to life with back-to-back scores. Inside the 2 is the call now. A turnover against Stanford, maybe an offensive as well. Either way, the ball back to Pacific. Barry will take a look. Shot clock is off. 24 seconds left. Tigers get one more here. This crowd is going to erupt. Lule has come on in the 14 cap. Out high now. Cote. And that is off the mark with 10 seconds left. So Cote, who had scored previously, was looking for another. Now 8 seconds left. Here's Halleck. An opportunity for the Cardinal. Halleck. That's off the post. Barry tosses it to his right as Parker Killian was coming on fast. And that's all for the third quarter. Pacific chipping away. They had trailed 10-3. They've got it back to 10-5 with 2 straight goals. And as we go to the fourth, 5 goals is a doable deficit as they'll try and stage a fantastic rally. Stanford looking to close this one out and claim their first title since 2002. We're back to Stockton after this. Fourth quarter on the way here at the 2019 NCAA Men's Water Polo Championship. Greg Meskel joining you poolside here in Stockton, California, where the Stanford Cardinal had built a 10-3 lead, running away with things here, looking for their first NCAA title since 2002, looking to continue an overall athletic program run that has seen the Stanford Cardinal repeatedly win championships. They're looking to add a women's soccer title later today. That'll get started at 5:30 p.m. in San Jose as the women's soccer team takes on North Carolina. Stanford looking for their 124th overall NCAA crown, 150th overall national title. And as we mentioned, the streak, if they win here, or if soccer wins a couple of hours from now, 44th consecutive year that Stanford has won at least one NCAA title. They tend to win more than one in any given academic year with how strong so many of their teams are. The Pacific, meanwhile, erased a little bit of the deficit and now trying to run down the rest here. They certainly watched yesterday as Stanford had a 3-goal lead late in that game, and USC tied it up. 5 goals, at least for me, is probably the ceiling on what sort of comeback you can stage in a single quarter. But we'll see what the Tigers have. It is within 5 at 10-5, and they'll control here to start. An early goal would help their cause. They seem to be reinvigorated by the substitution of John Barry as well. And now an exclusion. He came on to start the third, has played well. Tigers on their 8th advantage here. Dylan Woodhead going off. Stanic, Pavillard around the way, off the post. Could not connect. Hosmer just coming up short. And that was the third foul on Dylan Woodhead, so his day is done. Younger brother Quinn still in the mix. Here's Bennett Williams. Parker Killian now. Williams has time, goes to Abramson. Abramson stopped by Barry. What a situation for a keeper to be in. You start the bulk of the games. You perhaps weren't the expected starter, but that's how it's worked out due to injuries. You start, then you get to the postseason, and then a change is made. Takes a humble but committed athlete to take that demotion and then still be ready for moments like this. Deflected, tipped up, and Chun controls it as they looked for Cholak inside. And Pacific has to be very wary here as you look at the clock. With 6:25 in the fourth, they mathematically only have so many possessions. Everything's so valuable right now. And with that in mind, they'll send a player down. Cholak will leak out, so we'll do a little 5-on-5 here. Abramson will pull things out wide with the shot clock to 5. Abramson. Little flip pass inside for Halleck. And now working for Cholak. Cholak working on Williams. 1-on-3 and ordinary. He'll need reinforcements. No time for that. He'll take it himself. A monster field block. He'll get the ordinary. Can do it again if he'd like. He's beyond 5. Lets it go, and that's wide and high. Ricochets off the frame of the cage and away. So back-to-back attempts for Age Cholak to no avail. Under 6 to play here in the fourth. Rossman, 3 in the first quarter, really helped build this lead. That's turned back by Barry. And Barry smiling and nodding at Williams. Not afraid of a little trash talk here from the redshirt freshman talking to one of the more established players in the senior, Bennett Williams. And again, Pacific will send one down and go 5-on-5 here. Killian. They go Quinn Woodhead. Williams now, shot clock to 10. Try to go inside. A fight for it, a gather, and it's taken away. And then a battle after the fact as Halleck has his hat turned sideways. He and Cholak battling. On this end now, 5 minutes left. Still a 5-goal deficit. Pavillard lets it go and rockets it home. 4-goal deficit. The senior from Perth, Australia, able to hit his second in a 10-6 game. And that has the Pacific Tiger mascot, the guys in the bodysuits, everybody fired up as they get a little bit closer. Now 3 unanswered from Pacific. And the UOP chant goes out. Abramson. Rossman and now Williams. Halleck is surrounded in close. Rossman, so strong, working alongside 2 meters. Shot clock to 7. Exclusion. Extended possession here as Jerkovic will go off. And the power play for the Cardinal. A few fakes and a field block. Strong defense. Pacific has really ramped up their defense here in the second half. They've got Barry playing confidently in the cage. And one area where they've been great, man-down defense. Stanford is 0 for 6 on the advantage. Nearing the 4-minute mark. It's Pavillard. Lets it go, and that wouldn't have counted anyway. He was inside 5 on the restart. Tries to sneak that one past the officials, but was clearly inside the yellow cone. And you understand wanting to get one back quickly, but again, limited possessions here. Stanford, meanwhile, in need of some offense. One more here might just be demoralizing enough for the Tigers. A couple of fakes. There it is. Parker Killian with 3:37 to play. The redshirt sophomore picks a fine time for his 15th goal on the year. And Stanford, after watching Pacific score 3 unanswered, gets an important goal back with 3:37 left. And there might not be enough time here for the Tigers at this point. Pressure. Pacific on the move. Out high. And that's wide of the goal. Off the mark is Cote. .308 left here in the fourth. Time winding down. Stanford in front 11-6. Abramson. Here's Williams. Back to Abramson. Takes a look and hits! Tyler, the creator, adds another for the Cardinal. And they can sense this national championship now. (12-6) Stanford. And a drought that they have endured since 2002 is 2:55 away from coming to an end. Offensive, no goal. Wave it off as they worked inside for Cote. Stanford was in the final last year, came up short with that big deficit. They were in the final in 2008, also falling to USC. And back in the championship match here. And a timeout is called with 2:42 left. Cardinal call for time, 12-6 there in front. So we mentioned looking for their 11th NCAA championship, but first since 2002. John Vargas won the title in his very first season in 2002. He had come off being the Olympic team head coach in 2000. Team USA competed in Australia in those Olympic Games and then came to the farm. Took over for Dante Diamante, won the title, and then has been working on number 2 since that point. And as we said earlier, there's only been 3 other teams that have won titles since that point in time. This was a season that was all about parity in men's college water polo. And so it was fitting that the title came down to 2 teams, one in Pacific that had never won the title, and another that hadn't won it since 2002. And this Stanford team, some good young talent. You'd expect them to be right back in the hunt next season. This Pacific team, a lot of senior leadership that will need to be replaced. Here's Abramson. Shot clock to 6. To 3. And Barry knocks it down. Barry's played well, which will certainly invite the question, why not have him start the game? And easy to second guess from our position here, but it was a bold choice by James Graham. He said he wasn't afraid to make that decision to start this NCAA championship, and it worked out well in the semifinal. But here, Stanford really did the bulk of their damage in the first half. The timeout is called with 2:07 left here in the fourth. Each team huddling up. And the Pacific crowd that was so excited to host, and they're going to get a chance to host again for the women's tournament coming up next May. But they were excited about hosting, showing off their facility, and also showing off a team that they knew could get all the way to the title game and even win it. And it appears as if that is going to come up just a little bit short on this day. We do have to give credit for the Pacific Tigers band for playing the theme from DuckTales, though. I don't know where that fits in, but I'm not mad about it. .207 left here in the fourth. It's a 12-6 lead for Stanford. Timeout for Pacific. They'll go back on the attack. Here's Jale Stanic, one of those guys that the Tigers will be getting back. Cote on the skip. They work it inside. There's another for Pacific. Jay Halva, the senior from here in Stockton at a Bear Creek High School, hasn't played a ton in this NCAA championship, but he cashes in his 6th goal on the year. The transfer from San Joaquin Delta College just down the road here in town makes it 12-7 with under 2 to play. And now the Cardinal can spread things out. This is where they ran into a little bit of trouble last night against USC. They went into that spread formation, worked the ball around, didn't attack, but the advantage was 3, not 5. And there was also a little more than 2 minutes left, not 1:30. And now you see the attack here, and they add another. And that takes all the remaining energy out of the pool here for the Pacific Tigers, as a second goal is delivered by Parker Killian, and John Vargas with a fist pump as he knows everybody is about to get into the water here in Stockton. So Killian attacks one last time. The celebration beginning here on the Cardinal bench as they go in front 13-7 with 1:22 left. And Parker Killian, the redshirt sophomore out of Orange Lutheran and Irvine, California, is able to connect. And now the final moments. There's a field block, a little scramble for it, and an exclusion as Age Cholak pursues that, and we see an exclusion on Spencer Nelson, who's come in. So Stanford now able to get into their bench. Beck Jurasis has come on as well, really emptying the bench here as John Vargas. Duncan McTavish has checked in close, and that'll be a penalty. So a penalty against the Cardinal, and a chance now for a penalty shot from Pacific. Spencer Hansen has come on, Wyatt Hansen. Here's Cholak. 1:01 left in the fourth. Just 1:01 left, so this all but decided. Saved by Chun. What a fitting capper to this one. Andrew Chun turns away the Cholak penalty. They got reserves in there, but the starting keeper in the first full season, he's had to be the starter. Comes up huge and then makes another block. A couple of huge stops here by Chun late. As Nelson returns, Spencer Nelson delivered a goal at the very end of the MPSF tournament, and it elicited pure joy from the Stanford Cardinal, and Tyler Abramson talked about it afterwards. That was his favorite moment of that game because it spoke to how close this Stanford team is and how maybe you don't get to play all the minutes, but if you're on this team, you work just as hard as everyone else does. And that was Spencer Nelson's time to shine, and it made everyone else on this team very happy. Pavillard will get one there as Chun reaching back. Just 18 seconds left now in the fourth, so for all the stops Chun has made, he can't stop that one, and Pavillard adds another. The final moments of a stellar career for the Aussie here in Stockton. A Catino Award finalist, a Golden Coast Conference Player of the Year on 2 occasions. He may very well be a finalist for awards again. But this moment belongs to the Cardinal. They'll count it down with 10 seconds left. In front here, 13-8. 4 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. The long wait is over. One of college water polo's premier programs is back on top again. Stanford, your men's water polo champs in 2019. And this is a jump in the pool that John Vargas has been working on since 2002, the last time the Stanford Cardinal won the men's college water polo championship. A lot of close calls, and they get the job done in 2019, defeating Pacific 13-8. What a run for this Cardinal team. They'll finish the year at 21-2. The top seed coming into this tournament, the MPSF champions, they had a battle with USC. A game they thought was won, ahead by 3. With 2 minutes to go, they are forced into overtime. And then one of their stars, they have many, Ben Halleck, wins it in golden goal overtime. That pushes them into this final. And after the first quarter, they left no doubt. It was a 5-3 match with 39 seconds left, and then Stanford took control. They ran off 5 unanswered, and then they had all the answers. A.J. Rossman had 3 big goals early. Ben Halleck added 3. Bennett Williams with 2 key goals, as did Tyler Abramson, a real capper late. Parker Killian then finishing things off. And credit the effort of the keeper, Andrew Chun, as he had several big stops in this one. As the celebration continues in the pool, trophy presentation and more is coming up. We'll have it for you right here on NCAA.com. As a dejected Pacific fan base heads out. So excited for this weekend, but had to watch as the Stanford Cardinal proved to be the best in 2019. For Pacific, they end the year 17-6, and a lot of key upperclassmen perhaps playing their final matches, may have some redshirt situations, but you have seniors or redshirt seniors, and Age Cholak, Luke Pavillard, Luis Araya, Andrea Dinardi, Jay Halva. A lot of key personnel that got them all the way to this title match for just the second time in school history. But it's Stanford that takes it 13-8. More to come, trophy presentation, as these teams will get out, do one final handshake, and then prepare to receive their awards. But that is all for me right now. Stick with us here. Trophy presentation coming up shortly. But Greg Meskel saying thanks for joining us all weekend long. A big thanks to our entire NCAA.com crew for bringing you all the action from here in Stockton, where the Stanford Cardinal claim the 2019 NCAA Men's Water Polo Championship. Trophy presentation is coming up shortly. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Head coach James Graham and the team captains, please come forward to accept their trophy. Congratulations to the Tigers on a great season. Let's give these outstanding student athletes, coaches, and staff a round of applause. And now the 2019 National Collegiate Men's Water Polo National Champions, finishing with a record of 21-2, the Stanford Cardinal. The head coach John Vargas and the team captains, please come forward to accept the trophy. Congratulations to the Stanford Cardinal, 2019 National Collegiate Men's Water Polo National Champions. And now we present the 2019 Men's Water Polo Championship All-Tournament Team. With the members of the All-Tournament Team remain on the deck for a photo after all awards have been presented. Starting with the NCAA Water Polo All-Tournament Team second team. From Stanford, A.J. Rossman. From Timeout, Lash Rosa. From Stanford, Quinn Woodhead. From Pacific, Jeremy Cote. From Stanford, Bennett Williams. From Pacific, Charlie Spanish. From Stanford, Andrew Chun. How about a round of applause for the second team? And now to present our NCAA Water Polo All-Tournament first team. From Stanford, Ben Holland. From Pacific, Luke Palomar. From Stanford, Tyler Abramson. From Pacific, Aggie Rolla. From Pepperdine, Chris Dilworth. From USC, Jacob Mercer. And from USC, Nick Porter. And now to present our NCAA Water Polo All-Tournament MVP from Stanford, Ben Halleck. And at this time, we'd like to present the individual trophies to the Stanford Cardinal. Number 1, Andrew Chun. Number 2, Tyler Abramson. Number 3, Spencer Nelson. Number 4, A.J. Rossman. Number 6, Ben Halleck. Number 7, Bennett Williams. Number 8, Parker Killian. Number 9, Spencer Hansen. Number 10, Dylan Woodhead. Number 11, Quinn Woodhead. Number 12, Duncan McTavish. Number 14, Wyatt Hansen. Number 15, Dick Rapapakis. Number 17, Jackson Sable. Number 20, Marcel Michael. Number 21, Beck Gracious. And the head coach for Cardinals, John Vargas. Assistant coaches, Jonathan Barnea and Brandon Johnson. And volunteer assistant coach, Drew Holland. On behalf of the NCAA and our championship host, the University of the Pacific, and Visit Stockton, we thank you for your attendance at the 2019 National Collegiate Men's Water Polo Championship. Please remember that Stanford will host the 2020 National Collegiate Men's Water Polo Championship December 5th to 6th, 2020 at the Avery Aquatic Center. Once again, congratulations to our champions, the Stanford Cardinal, have a safe trip home. See you next year at Stanford.